is well, an incredible story, of course. Hopefully you're familiar with the story, Searching for Sugar Man. This is the tune Sugar Man by Rodriguez, Sixto Rodriguez. But enough said talking about Rodriguez. I hope you're familiar with the story. It's just unbelievable. It could not be, you couldn't write better fiction, let alone nonfiction. So we're going to take a look at, this is going to be the first one. We're going to get to more songs by Rodriguez in hopefully in the near future. But he has a very gentle style on the guitar of lightly strumming. He does it with his fingers, but you can do it with a pick, you can do it with fingers, it doesn't really matter too much, and comes up with interesting, generally fairly straightforward or simple chord progressions, but with some unusual twists. You know, you should recognize this sound. We're dealing with chords mostly in the key of A minor, with a few, well actually all of them qualify as something in the key of A minor, but he uses a lot of chords that are outside the natural minor scale. And anyway, we're just going to talk briefly about the strumming and then talk about the chord progression and some variations, because the way it appeared on his first album, 1970, Cold Fact, which you got to check out. Really only made 2 albums in the early days. The next one came out a year later, Coming From Reality, and just 2 sets of spectacular songs. So I'm kind of assume if you're watching this, you're already familiar with some of the songs. But if not, you got to go listen to them and check out the movie from 2012. Won Academy Award for Best Documentary, among all kinds of other awards. So anyway, I can't really talk enough about that, because the point of this is really going to be to teach you some of his unusual chords that he uses in Sugar Man. We'll talk about the strumming, we'll talk about the chords, and then you should have it. Well, we have a bunch of chords in the key of A minor. So we're going to see an A minor chord played with standard fingering, and some of the other normal chords in A minor would be chord 4, played as D minor 7 with a 2-string bar across the first fret, and an A on the third string. E's or E7s. We'd usually want our E7 to be played with the D up on the top. So and then we're going to have a chord that sometimes D minor and F major 7 are used a bit interchangeably. And you can play the F major 7 with, we don't always hear the major 7th, because when he strums it, we don't always hear the first string very well. He's kind of strumming on the middle strings. And you can play the F, we don't need a full bar here, but we are going to have some a little bit later. So we can play the F major 7 as just 3 strings, or 3 fingers, the open E, the C, an A, and an F. Well, Rodriguez does most of his strumming with his thumb kind of just bouncing on the fingerboard or the 6th string, and then doing the strumming with his fingers. Emphasizing the notes in the middle of the guitar. We don't hear the top notes very clearly or the bass notes very clearly. So he's really harping on the middle 4 strings. Now you could do this all kinds of different ways. If you're going to use fingers, what I recommend for fingers is downs with your middle fingers and ups with your index fingers. So I'm using these 2 to go down, and just keeping your hand moving down, up, down, up, down, up. Constant flow of 8th notes. But sometimes there are accents on the ups, especially in that second measure. Notice I'm playing the chords to the introduction. Talking about the chord progression, although as I mentioned, he does this with a lot of different variations, substitutions. So the song, of course, opens up with the intro, or the chords up the neck. Run through those chords as many times as you like, the first 4 of them, until you get to the E7, which all the E7s can be E's. They don't need to be E7s, and you can stay on the last E as long as you want before you head into the verse. So those are a couple little clips from a short lesson I put together on Sugar Man. The chord progression is fairly straightforward, but it's got some unusual chords in it, and the strumming is a little tricky because it's fast and soft, very subdued, and it's a pleasure to listen to Rodriguez. But the lesson breaks down some of his techniques and some of the chords. It's available as part of the Target program, our monthly subscription program, or for an individual purchase. There are also a lot of free lessons over at TotallyGuitars, so if you'd like to get started with those, I encourage you to come visit us. But there's a lot of stuff there, over 600 lessons as of now, and adding more every day. So hope you can check us out at Totally Guitars sometime soon.